I don't know if just more free housing, or housing that comes with no strings attached is necessarily, for our benefit as a country,
What do you mean exactly by no strings?
So, and this is coming from the property management world. I have a property management background. I've seen situations where those who are who are on affordable housing or Section 8 housing, they do things to make sure they can stay on that housing. So as opposed to doing things to better their life or increase their income, they're making sure that they get this help from the government.
Hey, welcome to Uncommon State of Mind, where we debate different ways to leverage your next investment to create time freedom, legacy impact, and generational wealth so you can live that uncommon life. But in order to do that, you must be uncommon. My name is Joey, a.k.a. Mr. J. Mays.
Hey, and I'm A.D., also known as A.D. the Fly Realtor.
Perfect. So we have a debate for you guys today. As you know, Kamala Harris is the Democratic nominee, and Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. So
Right.
What we decided to talk about today is which presidency would be best for real estate investing. Now, we're going to talk about this. First thing we want to do is just give you a little disclaimer. This does not represent AD's and I's political views. We are strictly talking about this. Yeah. We are strictly talking about this through the lens of real estate investing and the research that we've done in order to back up what we're going to be talking about for the most part. Okay.
Right.
One thing that I did touch on, we actually messed up and we recorded this whole episode in slow motion. So
yeah, that's crazy.
So that kind of sucked. But one thing that I did want to say again, because I think it's important, is I hate talking to people or try to have intellectual conversations with people who can only see one side of the spectrum and not take the other person's opinion into consideration.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, no, for real. Because honestly, people like that are very irritating. I usually don't vibe with people like that who are so stuck to their point of view, because a lot of times a point of view is just that, like you're looking at a specific subject or object from one specific point of view, and usually the way you were born or where you were raised and the family you came up in all has heavy influence on your point of view.
Correct.
So that doesn't mean that your point of view is the sole and only point of view that can give you a picture of the truth.
Right.
Other point of views have to be taken into effect or into account.
It's pretty much switching your lens in the way that you view things. You need to take yourself out of the lens of your family. You need to take yourself out of the lens of, your immediate influence. And you need to, look at this very objectively and be like, okay, what is best for, the country? What is best for, the specific industry and the things that I'm doing, and how is it going to affect my life? And on top of that, understanding why, even if it's something that you don't agree with, understanding why it's happening or why it may be important for that time period is very important as well. And like I said, people that I hate people that view politics like, I'm with the Jaguars, I'm with the
and no matter how stupid or how dumb something they said or are currently doing is, you just stick with that side just for the sake of being on your team. Like, that's so trash to me.
It's trash.
Yeah, and one thing I was telling Joey is that I'm always wary of people who were so stuck with any one political party.
Yeah.
There's like everything the liberals do, you think is a good thing and they can do no wrong.
Right.
And then everything the conservative does, you think it's a good thing and they can do no wrong. People like that scare me. Like,
yeah, exactly.
People like that really scare me, because that means somebody could come tell you to like, oh, go shoot him.
Yeah.
And you do it because everything they say is right. That fanatical status, that's too much for me.
Turning shit into chocolate.
Right.
Like, no, shit is shit. That's
what it is. Like, that's what it is.
Period.
Yeah, I can't.
No matter what party it comes from. If it's shit, it's shit. If it's good, it's good. So anyway, aside from that, so there's a couple of things where I'm going to actually debate on the side of Kamala Harris. AD is going to debate on the side of Donald Trump and their administration. Once again, this does not reflect our political views, but we are going to look at this through the lens of investing. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start off. So one thing that Kamala Harris has talked about, she actually did an interview with EYL, and they talked a little bit about entrepreneurship and affordable housing. So one thing that she said for first-time home buyers or first-generation home buyers, they're working on putting together a credit, a $25,000 credit. If you're looking at this through an investment or investor's mindset, they didn't specify what type of home that credit would be for, right? For a single family or a multifamily. And since that's not specified, if you're able to take this credit and put it towards your first multifamily property, along with some of the FHA loans that you have out there.
Exactly.
I know they have that
Widow's 5% down
that
for
5%.
for a unit.
Boom.
You know what I mean? There's all kinds of possibilities when you think about it from that point of view.
So think about that. Like, you're taking down your first multifamily property. Not only do you have this $25,000 credit, but you could also take advantage of an FHA loan that's going to allow you to put 5% down. So this can spring new investors into their first property like guns blazing.
Right. You know, bro. Yeah, definitely. Like, and I like how you mentioned, like, with an investor's mindset, because it's really true. Because honestly, investors and entrepreneurs, all they are people who find the opportunity and go for it. So this could be an opportunity for you to potentially take advantage of, you know, something the government is putting out there for you to take advantage of. You know, get your first property. By that, you know, maybe potentially get more than one unit, rent the other out, and turn into a landlord, you know, and then maybe you can start your process of real estate investing, you know, with some help from the government on your first property.
On your first property.
Right.
Now, on top of that, they also have a $400 note for both of these things. Both of these programs, you do have to meet a specific income requirement. When I looked deeper into it, it said I think it was like 120 to 140% of the median income in that area, something like that. But you could double check that. I took all of my sources from whitehouse.gov. You can go ahead and look that up. I'll probably have it posted here in the show notes. But they're going to add a $400 credit monthly, so that way it aids with your mortgage payment, right? So once again, that multifamily that you took down with that tax credit, now you also have an additional $400 a month taking off the mortgage on top of the cash that you'll be getting from your tenants. So,
hey, honestly, like $400 sounds like a little bit of money. It doesn't sound like much, but when it comes to underwriting or when it comes down to looking at the numbers, $400 can make or break a deal. Like a month. Every single month, like $400 in any direction can change the whole deal. If you're under $400, it's tragic. If you're over $400, you're dancing in the streets. You know, that's $4,800 a year. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. That, man, easy, free $5,000 a year to add to whatever you're paying in mortgage. Which, if you're smart, you got tenants helping you pay that mortgage. Come on, man.
It's definitely
that is something people should think about taking advantage of.
So the thing is, like, this is for first-time home buyers, first-generation home buyers. So this does nothing for, seasoned investors. So that's the downside to this particular policy. But if you're looking to get into your first property and you're looking to get into your first investment property, which, you know, the show is kind of geared towards
the beginning investor.
Exactly. So this could be a huge opportunity.
Right. No, I like that. Definitely some good points right there. So in regards to Trump, I don't want to only talk about the things he may do and implement. I also want to touch on the stuff he did during his first term as president. You know, so Trump, he is a conservative guy. He has a lot of pro-business tax benefits. these pro-business tax benefits not just work for business owners, they also work for entrepreneurs and real estate investors. The Tax Cuts Jobs Act of 2017 helped a lot of business owners, with their taxes, having extra money and extra income to be able to go put into the marketplace or put into their product or put into, if you're a real estate investor, put into renovation, things like that. So that's definitely something to think about because that could be potentially you, reaping the tax benefits, which a lot of people, especially beginners, don't look at tax benefits as a huge win when real estate investing because it's not right then and there. You know what I mean? Like taxes, like you file, you're prepping them throughout the year, then you file as like, then I get a tax check. But it's like, no, really, like if you're saving on taxes, it's the whole world. You know what I mean?
To be honest with you, that's why you need like a tax preparer, not a tax strategist. Like
exactly, like
and seasoned investors already know this, but the more money that you can keep,
right. There's one thing about how much money you can make, but how much of that money can you keep, which is a whole nother conversation of money making and wealth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so another thing in regards to Donald Trump, I know during the time of his presidency, a lot of realtors and a lot of real estate investors were extremely happy with him. I even knew real estate investors who did not like him, who like could not stand him, but would vote for him again because of what he did.
Right.
As far as the bill that you're just talking about, right?
Yeah. In part to that, but then also, there's it's called REPS, real estate professional status.
Okay.
So what that did was, if you can claim real estate professional status, you were able to reap an extra amount of benefits on top of what benefits you got from what tax benefits you got from buying real estate in the first place.
Okay.
You get even more benefits. The qualifications, I don't know the exact details. Talk to a tax professional, but I know you have to be able to prove that you work so many hours of the year in real estate. So if real estate is something you do full time, whether you work as an agent, a wholesaler, a loan officer, anything in real estate, a landlord, any of those things, if you can prove that you did that for a certain amount of hours, you get even more benefits, more tax benefits, which is definitely a win. And that's something you can definitely bank on Donald Trump focusing heavy on if he were to be back in office.
So we touched on affordable housing in regards to like the first time investor and how, that $25,000 credit could launch the first time investor into their first property along with the $400 credit for mortgage. But what about the seasoned investor, right? So another thing that Kamala Harris talked about was adding an additional $2 million of affordable housing units into the United States. And she talked about that in the EYL interview, which I'll probably post a link to that as well. And also during the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, they allocated $4.3 billion to preserving buildings for affordable housing and also creating more affordable housing units for low-income families. So with that being said, this provides an opportunity for government contracting, right? Any investor who is, has their business model or has their portfolio centered around affordable housing, winning these government contracts, that's guaranteed money for your projects. On top of that, like if you already have projects in affordable housing, say you already have Section 8 housing, and I was telling you a little bit ago, like how many Section 8 housing gurus do you see on your like feed, dude?
Right. Exactly. No, for real. But because there's such a shortage for affordable housing already. You know what I mean? Like, as much as it seems like there are already, like there's a need for even more
affordable housing, right? So and that's the thing. Like if you can satisfy a need that the government has, there's money to be made.
Right.
100%. So winning these government contracts in affordable housing or using the Section 8 housing that you already have, if you want to, you're aiding the government and you're getting paid. So that does present a new opportunity or just increases an existing opportunity for real estate investors in this space, right? So
Yeah, no, most definitely, because once you're in partnership with the government's always going to pay. You know what I mean? At that point, the government's pretty much your tenant, and whoever is living there is just an occupant.
Yeah.
So you can bank on the government paying whatever their portion of that rent is, so.
To be honest, and that's something that I've always wanted to look into. Because you can never, me personally, like looking into government-backed opportunities. And
Right.
Because you just know that no matter what the market does, you're pretty much set.
Yeah, no, it's for sure guaranteed, because it's the government is probably the best tenant you could have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and when you rent through affordable housing, the government is pretty much the tenant at that point, and the people who live there are occupants, because the government is paying, if not all of the rent, they're paying a good portion of the rent. So that money is automatic. No matter what's going on, it doesn't matter if there's rain, snow, like a storm, the government is always going to pay the rent. Yeah. So, that is definitely something advantageous for investors and, owners of affordable housing units.
So on top of that, Kamala did, like, during this EYO interview, she did also say that they were on track to build out an additional 2 million more affordable housing units in the U.S. So once again, just doubling down on being more available government contracts for affordable housing is definitely going to benefit investors if that's the direction that you're in.
Right. Yeah, so then going back to Trump and some of the things he has done and will continue to implement, as I was going to say, deregulation. Trump's approach to deregulation aimed to reduce the bureaucratic hurdles in many industries, including real estate, easing restrictions on zoning laws, environmental regulations, and building codes. So what that pretty much means is, so when you're building real estate or developing real estate or renovating real estate, you have to keep in mind what the zoning laws in that area are. The zoning laws will dictate, pretty much what you can do with that property and what you can use it for. But the stricter the zoning laws, the harder it is to not only develop, but also to figure out a way to make money with that property. So with an ease of those restrictions, now that causes for more opportunity, because now, a property that maybe at one point can only be used for commercial purposes, now you can use it for residential, or vice versa. Or maybe now you can build a commercial property near a residential property, things like that. It's a little bigger than like early beginner buying property stuff, when you get into the development, thinking about development and renovations like that. But it is definitely something that can be a hurdle for investors when you want to develop, but there's only so much you can do with that property in a specific area.
Yeah, specific zoning. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That's a plus.
Yeah, no, for real, that's definitely a plus for developers and investors in general. Because what it does is it opens up the pool of options.
Definitely, and like you said, it allow projects to get complete faster because you don't have that government regulation.
Exactly, or worry about the city coming and shutting down your project. That happens to people. Or people think they're doing it the right way and then come to find out they're not, or they aren't, and then which is even worse. So it's like things like that is definitely something you want to consider.
And don't get us wrong, like, having government intervention and looking and having specific, codes in order so people can have like habitable living conditions. That's very important. But sometimes, they be going overboard.
I mean, I think the intention may be in a good place or come from a good place.
It will come from a good place.
But, sometimes these restrictions, it's easy to put restrictions on things when you're not the one who does it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the difficulty that your restrictions are providing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one thing that happens a lot, where like one side will make a law for everybody, but they don't even fully understand what it is to carry out that action.
Exactly.
So that's another conversation.
That's a whole nother ball. But no, yeah, to be honest with you, there's so much that we could use from both campaigns.
No, for real, yeah.
If there is more of a blended approach to to making this happen,
Exactly,
that would be awesome.
Really, yeah. I like how you said that, blended, because really, like, we need help from both ends.
Yeah.
We need someone to come and help the tenants and the buyers. We need somebody to help the investors and the owners and the landlords.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, one side can't have too much power over the other. You know, it needs to be partnerships. And yeah, like I said, both sides need help. And I think implementing some of these things from both administrations that's probably where the sweet spot is.
Definitely. Anyways, but I'm glad that we're able to sit here and have this conversation, because it's very important to see both sides of the spectrum through the lens of real estate, and seeing how one can benefit from either side.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we've explored both, what the Trump administration has done in the past and may do in a future administration, and what Kamala Harris is proposing to do in her administration, and what she's already done in the past with Joe Biden, what do you think is best for the country? And let me just go ahead and just simplify this a little bit more. Trump, as far as like business tax cuts and regulations, and Kamala Harris, as far as affordable housing. What do you think the country needs more right now?
Man, you put me in a precarious situation. This, honestly, if I'm really being real, what I really think we need are, I think, fully, probably a combination of both.
Okay. Yeah.
We need a combination of both. But really, I don't know if just more free housing, or housing that comes with no strings attached, is necessarily, for our benefit as a country.
What do you mean exactly by no strings attached?
So, and this is coming from the property management world. I have a property management background. I've seen situations where those who are who are on affordable housing or Section 8 housing, they do things to make sure they can stay on that housing. So as opposed to doing things to better their life or increase their income, they're making sure that they get this help from the government. So that's one of the things where, something that has good intentions behind it, because there's no implementation of, come take these skills classes, come learn how to do this, take a class for a trade. You know what I mean? There's nothing behind it. It's just a matter of, okay, are you still broke? All right, here's free housing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm saying. But whereas I think if investors are getting more, if the investors are getting more tax breaks, one, there's a better chance that they can keep rental prices lower. You know what I mean? But then two, when there's more money being pumped into the economy, then business owners and companies have more money to go higher.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that could be some of the problem, where there are people who are underemployed right now.
Yeah.
So they're taking advantage of affordable housing. Whereas if they were able to get better jobs or jobs that suit their skill set, they would be able to have more money to afford, market rate, rentals. So I would have to go with that. But like I said initially, I think we need partially both.
I like a blended approach. Yeah, I could definitely see your points there. But on the other side of that, there's always, no matter, even if you can have the best programs out there. You can have programs that are built. If somebody goes through it, they're going to, have a come to Jesus moment and be productive members of society.
Right.
But there's a section of the population, and we live in Los Angeles County. We have a large homeless population. There's a section of the population that just aren't going to do that. And it's not only because that they don't want to, but some don't have the physical or the mental ability to go.
That's different.
Right? No, again, I'm not trying to say that what you're saying is like, trying to discredit them.
Uh-huh.
But so all I'm saying in regards to that is there are always going to be a
the need
for
Right.
affordable housing. Or,
that's true.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah,
So-
there will always be a need for it.
Yeah. So as far as stimulating the economy with these additional government, and you know what, I say that, but I'm not going to just throw all my weight behind it, because not everybody is cut out to go and be like, hey, there's a bunch of government contracts for affordable housing. Let me just go do that. Like, you may not
Right.
be in the circumstances.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
To even think about caring.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just stick to, yeah, there definitely needs to be a blended approach. I'm hoping that no matter which candidate wins, that there is something being done on both sides. So
Exactly. At least a little bit, man.
yeah.
I feel it.
So the B for today, and I just want to touch on this. I actually had a B, but I'm gonna actually make it a don't be. All right, they're like, don't be shallow.
Don't be shallow.
Don't be shallow. Like, you have to be able to sit with somebody who doesn't have the exact same views that you do and have conversations, because that's how you come to the best solutions. You know, you don't want to be in a space where everybody thinks the same. You get that group think mentality,
Right.
and nobody really can come up with fresh new ideas.
Exactly.
When you can
Then stupid ideas go unchecked.
right, the stupid ideas go unchecked. So when you have people who respect each other but have different views, that can have conversations and figuring out real solutions, man, the country can go a long way. So
Right. Exactly. So you heard the man. Don't be shallow. Be you and be uncommon.
yep. Stay up.